final character on this list is the last newcomer, Edge. She is a hero that is great at close to mid-range combat. Her skills allow her to hit multiple enemies with a single action. As her primary weapon, she wields the Flying Blade, which returns like a boomerang and makes that your targets get hit twice before the sword returns. The damage and crit chance are really good, and the range isn't that bad either. I also want to mention that it looks pretty awesome. Movement is where Edge shines, apart from multi-hits. Her movement range expands each time she dashes. Combined with the ability to dash 4 times, she's a great choice for reach area missions, just like Luigi. Her movement skill is Critical Dash, which makes that each following dash does 20% more damage. This makes her, with Rabbid Mario, the best dash attacker in the game. She's my first choice when it comes to using dash sparks like Electro or Vamp Dash. Her technique is probably my least favorite in the game though. It's called Stormblade and is basically another reaction shot ability like Mario's. The difference is that Edge performs close range attacks that hit multiple opponents if one of them moves in her range. The problem is that the range really sucks and the damage is kinda underwhelming. It's not useless or anything, but to me it's not worth using most of the time. Edge is a really solid character and damage dealer though. I will put her at the top of B tier, since I think that she gets outclassed by Rabbid Mario a bit. That doesn't really make her bad, but most of the times I preferred using Rabbid Mario. I just don't see her in A, since her technique is really not that good and she has Rabbid Mario as a competitor, which is who is one of the best characters in the game. But she's very useful and still definitely worth using, as I said. Normally I would just thank you for watching the video now and stuff like that, but I kinda got the feeling that I forgot something, or should I say someone? Yeah! Why did I even include this segment? You saw the title and the thumbnail. Anyways, since I started this series before the Phantom Show DLC came out, it was originally planned that Edge would be the last character that I talk about. But now the DLC came out, I completed it 100% and I have formed my opinion about how good Rayman is. So let's talk about the limbless hero of the Dream Forest. Rayman is a character that I like to compare with Mario in this game. He's an all-rounder type character who doesn't specialize at anything, but he works in pretty much any situation you put him in. One of his specialties is his movement. That's because of his movement skill, which allows him to grab onto these flying rings from the Rayman series. I hope you know what I'm talking about. After he pulled himself towards the ring, he can glide a short distance above the battleground. This is perfect for traveling larger distances or flanking your enemies. His movement range leaves much to be desired, but his team jump is pretty solid. His dash is, even though he only got one, quite strong too, since you can upgrade it. Rayman's primary weapon is the blaster, which is almost the same as the blaster from Kingdom Battle. It fires a single target projectile, has a medium range, and has a pretty decent damage output. In this game, it can steal items and coins from its target, which doesn't really add anything to its strength, but I thought I'd address it. Not the most amazing primary, but a pretty solid one overall. I would say that it's a less versatile version of Mario's dual slingers. Rayman's technique Plunger Guards is pretty great. It summons 2 little turrets, which shoot 3 times at any enemy that moves into their sight. Every hero can pick them up and place them everywhere on the battlefield. You can use them for extra damage if you make a foe move by dashing into him, or you can use them to punish enemy movement. The amount of HP that Rayman has is one of his biggest weaknesses. Sure, his health stat isn't as low as Rabbid Peach's or Rabbid Luigi's, but I noticed that he's still quite fragile compared to other offensive characters. His second weakness is the fact that he can't equip sparks. You may wonder why? I don't know, probably because he has beef with anything rabbit related or something. Seriously though, not being able to equip sparks makes you have way less options. Think about it. You can't use elemental effects, buffs, and you also limit your other heroes in terms of which sparks they can bring, since there will always be a certain selection of sparks that you need to bring for certain battles. But despite this making him lose a lot of versatility, Rayman is still one of the most versatile characters in the game, and that's due to his costumes. He can switch between his normal hoodie, the Vortex costume, and the Rocket costume, which are based on the outfits from Rayman 3. Every costume gives Rayman a new primary, a defensive ability, different turrets, and even an extra technique. Let's start with the Rocket costume. It gives Rayman an immunity to all super effects, and also the Rocket Blaster, which works like a mini-sized rocket launcher. You can compare it to Bowser's Bowzooka, for example. The explosion it creates also gets bigger the more enemies are in the blast radius. It deals less damage than the normal blaster, but it's perfect for hitting multiple targets or dealing damage to foes behind cover. The turrets, named Rocket Guards, do pretty much the same. They can twice shoot a less damaging but explosive projectile, and you also get 3 of them. The unique technique of the Rocket costume is one of the absolute best in the game. Rocket Ride summons a giant, controllable rocket which explodes after a certain amount of time. I love how many uses this has. You can whack enemies out of the way, deal damage to them, and destroy cover on your way. This is also one of the absolute best tools for destroying Darkness Eyes. Man, Rocket Ride is so sick. Let's now continue with the more defensive option, the Vortex costume. First of all, it makes that Rayman takes 30% less damage from any attack, which really helps out his low HP. The Vortex Blaster makes its target bounce, similar to the splash effect. The closer your target is to you, the more often it bounces. The advantage is that it works on any enemy, even if they have a splash resistance. The Vortex Guards are probably the best of all the turrets. You can only get 2 of them, and they can only shoot twice, but their combo potential and the way they can punish enemies is just so damn good. If enemies try to come closer, they'll just get bounced into oblivion and their turn is wasted. If you want to use them for combos, you can get a skill in Rayman's skill tree, which makes the turret's target get bounced into the range of other turrets. Creating combos with this will never fail to entertain me. Vortex Pull is the costume's unique technique. It creates a tornado, which pull... Willst du mich verarschen, Drucker? It creates a tornado, which pulls your targets closer to Rayman, damaging them along the way. You can see it as a little magnet dance, but not as great. The range isn't that good, and since Rayman is so fragile, you don't want to be too close to your enemies. He just doesn't have the close range options that would make this technique better than it is. But I have to admit that it's not a bad ability, since you can force enemies out of their secure positions without much effort at all. The problem with this is that you always need to use it in combination with other heroes like Rabbid Mario. For Rayman himself, it's most of the time not that useful. So I would just call it a support technique. Despite the inability to use sparks, Rayman is one of the most versatile heroes in the game. He got solid agility, pretty decent damage output, and a massive amount of utility. He can deal with groups of enemies, bounce them away, and just so much more. The battles he is the best in are reach the area and destroy Darkness Eyes. But all of his options and stuff he can do make him useful in pretty much any situation. I could talk hours about his utility and potential, but instead I'll come to his placement on the tier list. Ultimately, I have decided on putting him in the A tier behind Mario. The reason for this is that Mario is Rayman's biggest competitor, as they are both all-rounders and mid-range damage dealers. Mario may have less utility than Rayman, but he got a higher damage output and is better at staying alive. Both of those factors are essential for offensive characters. But still, A tier is a great placement and absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. So yeah, that sums up my character tier list of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. I don't actually remember if I've made this clear, but I ordered the characters for this tier list. So if we're looking at the A tier, for example, Peach is the best in here, then comes Rabbid Rosa, then Mario, and at the end there's Rayman. Also, none of the characters in this game are bad, and I believe that they are all viable and worth using. But here you can see the final results of my ranking. I want to thank everyone who watched this series and told me their opinions in the comment section. I especially want to thank the viewer JCBro2014 who watched every single episode and commented what his opinions on all the characters were in a nice and respectful manner. That's why I like tier lists so much, because everyone has a different opinion on how good a character is and why they think so. Yeah, I've done enough talking. If you want me to do other Mario plus Rabbids related tier lists or content like a Kingdom Battle tier list or a ranking of all the Sparks, then please tell me in the comments. I've been really enjoying this series and I'm very happy how great it's turned out. So for the last time in this series, thank you for watching and I'll hopefully see you in one of my next videos. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye! See ya! Hmm?